welcome to the Goway Pro Industry Insider webinar series. Today we're talking about a country I've yet to visit, but I'm looking forward to getting there, is the country called Qatar. Now, I'm trying to pronounce it correctly. For those who've joined us on our Goway Pro Travel Academy about Qatar, I actually have a section from a Qatari who goes through all the different ways of pronouncing it, and I might actually throw that in here just so we cover our bases.
Today we're going to answer a very, very important question. How do you pronounce my country? Now, I've gone ahead and noticed that a lot of foreigners are teaching foreigners how to pronounce Qatar. Yes, a lot of people are saying Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar. Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar. Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar.
But is that really the true pronunciation? The irony of it all? Qatar is actually closer to the official pronunciation, Qatar.
Qatar or Qatar? You are right there. How do the locals pronounce it?
I've actually heard it 3 different ways, and that's Qatar, Qatar, and gutter.
No! Listen, I respect you, I want you to respect me, we're all respecting each other right now, but no, bad. So, just to recap, the official pronunciation of my country is Qatar. 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 So go ahead and close your throat a little bit, make sure you say ta instead of ta, and you get Qatar.
Guest today is Haryanti Jones. Now, I just off air, I was asking Haryanti where her name came from, and her first name is Indonesian, and her second name is obviously not Indonesian. It's obviously her married name. And Haryanti, you are part of the Qatari Tourism Board, or you are a representative country for Qatar?
We are a representative for, well, Qatar Tourism is the old name for Visit Qatar. They have a new organization. Now they're called Visit Qatar.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Okay, so you're working on behalf of Visit Qatar. Okay, now, as we always do with our webinars and when we're speaking to our guests, we want to give a bit of background on yourself. So you mentioned your name is Indonesian, so I assume you're from Indonesia. So how did you get involved, one, with tourism, and two, in particular, and with Qatar?
Yes, so I've been in tourism industry for about 13 years. Actually, started with my family in my home country. I helped them with their travel agency business. So that's where I started working in travel industry. Okay. And then moved to the US in 2019, worked for various resorts in Tahiti and the Maldives from the US as their reservation agent. Since 2020, and then I get a wonderful opportunity to represent Visit Qatar.
Okay, then. So when you say in the US, you are coming to us today from Los Angeles, I would assume?
Yes, I am based in Los Angeles. Okay. We are a team based from West Coast and East Coast. Currently, we have 3 people in our team that can be bigger. Okay, and I would assume the East Coast is probably out of New York? New York and DC. Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice, DC. Okay. Our region is between the two. Yeah. Right. Okay, so let's get into some basic stuff, because there'll be people out there who will know the country of Qatar and maybe even sent people there already and are looking for some updated information. And we'll probably have a lot of new agents looking at the country for the first time. So let's go with the very basics. Where is the country Qatar? Qatar is in the Middle East. It's a small country. So if you see the Middle East, you'll see Saudi Arabia. That's the big part of the Middle East. Qatar is a little bit to the east. It's the only land border to Qatar is Saudi Arabia. And Qatar is surrounded by the Arabian Gulf water. Right. So being where it's located, how do you get there? Now, obviously, there is an international, there is a national carrier, but due to its location to Saudi Arabia, which is slowly opening up to the world, I assume you could get in via land from Saudi. But for the main in and out gateways, how do you get there from east and west coast? Yeah, well, Qatar is connected internationally through Hamad International Airport, also known as Doha. You're right, we have a national carrier, Qatar Airways.
What does being the best mean to you? To us, it means going beyond. It means being exceptional at what we do and setting world-class standards for the best customer experience. Flying with the best airline in the world means a new adventure every day. It means we're part of the world's greatest sporting events, and that we call the vibrant sights and sounds of Qatar home. Because whenever we start our day, we're part of something more. We're part of excellence. We're part of the best airline in the world. Join us to be part of the best.
One of the leading airlines in the world.
Yes, it is.
And they fly from 13 gateways from North America,
Okay.
11 from America, and 2 from Canada.
Which are the 2 from Canada?
Toronto and Montreal.
Okay, so anyone on the West Coast, Canada, will have to come across, obviously, to Toronto. So I assume for the US, you have gateways out of East and West Coast?
Yes. LA, San Francisco, Seattle, and then East Coast, New York, Chicago, Boston, and in the middle we have Houston, Houston already, Dallas.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
all right.
DC, we have DC as well, Miami, Florida on the east part, yeah.
Wow, so there's lots of lift from the US itself. Now, often people, when they fly to the Middle East, are using the Middle East as a stopover on their way to Asia or maybe even Africa for that matter. So if people are looking to use Qatar as a stopover, does Qatar Airways connect onto other destinations outside of Qatar itself?
Oh, yes. They connect to other destinations in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, like to Asia, to Europe, to Africa. So Qatar is the perfect stopover destinations for you to combine with your other trip and make it 2 trips instead of just one trip.
And that's what I'm sort of getting at here is a lot of people unfortunately view the Middle East countries, Saudi included, as more of a stopover en route to somewhere else when, yes, of course, they can be done like that. And as Haryanti said there, you can have, turn one trip into 2 trips. But the point of today is to highlight that you can also look at Qatar as its own standalone destination as well. So on that note, with the neighbors you have the UAE, you have Saudi Arabia, of course, a little bit further afield, you've got Jordan. What makes Qatar stand out from the other Middle Eastern countries?
Qatar is a perfect blend of modernity and the Arabian authentic experiences. It's a perfect introduction if you want to experience Arabic culture. And we also have modernity like 5-star hotels, but we limit the giant skyscrapers. So we're not, I don't want to.
You can say
but
it.
Yeah,
you can say it. You're not Dubai.
It's a perfect combination between Arabic authenticity and modernity.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
No, I think it's fair what you're saying there, but being very political, and I understand why you're being political. I can be less so, and it's nothing against Dubai or anything like that. It's just that Dubai is famous for its big sites, big buildings, and very opulent offerings, and they're fantastic. And we sell so much to Dubai. Yeah, exactly. And we have it's a very popular destination. But I think your point, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that you don't have the over-the-top grandeur per se, though you do have all the luxury if wanted, but you are, or not you per se, the country is maintaining as much as possible its original feel and look. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's sort of also touch on now, it's a Middle Eastern country. People often generalize and think it is restrictive in what you can do, what you can wear. People may have different views on the political situation there. So from my understanding, Qatar, as you've already alluded to, is quite a modern, forward-thinking country. It's quite open when it comes to rights for females. The dress code is not strict in any form. Is all that also a fair statement?
We get a lot of questions, whether is it safe to travel to Qatar? What about women traveling?
Yeah.
What about female solo traveler? Well, Qatar is safe. It ranks number 3, the safest country in the world by Numbeo Crime Index 2024.
Okay.
So whether you're a woman, you're a man, Qatar is safe for you to travel in. And if you travel to a country, I always say you want to respect the local customs. Anywhere, not just in Qatar.
Of course.
And about the dressing. So for women, the suggested outfit is to cover your shoulders, and for men to cover your knees.
Okay.
That's it.
And I think for men too, it's not necessarily required, but again, longer shorts and t-shirts that cover your shoulders and sort of upper arms versus those sort of over the showing the shoulders. I was told that is preferred. Again, not demanded, but preferred way to present yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, of course. Modesty is appreciated. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that the country is bordered by Saudi Arabia to the south, and the rest of the country is surrounded by the Gulf, which means lots of beaches, lots of water. So back to the dress code and type thing. If people are in Qatar and they're in their resort looking to lie around the pool and or go to a public beach, what's the dress code there? Is it Western standards? Is it a bit more restrictive in that respect when you're talking beach?
You can wear swimwear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then easy. Oh, yeah, makes it easy. It does make it very easy. So what are the big attractions to Qatar other than its location in the Gulf and, part of the Middle East, which is an amazing destination in itself, age-old history, of course, which you'll probably touch on. But if you were to list, let's say, not the top 10, top 5 reasons to go to Qatar, what would they be?
Okay, the Doha itself, it's the main attraction. If you have a stopover in Doha, come out from the airport, enjoy the beaches, go to the museums and shops, go to the local shop. We call it the Souq. It's very traditional.
Mm-hmm.
So Doha itself is a main attraction if you go to Qatar. Okay. And Qatar is a small country packed of destinations. When you go out from Doha, well, first, if you arrive in Doha, you will arrive on the eastern coast of Qatar. And to get to the west coast or to get to the north coast, to the south coast, it only takes about 1.5 hours. It's a small country, only around 4,500 miles square.
Wow.
And between those destinations, those experiences, my favorite is to the southern coast of Qatar. Mm-hmm. That is where you can see the inland sea. Inland sea is where you see the ocean meets the sand.
Oh, nice.
When you get to the inland sea, there are activities that you can do like dune bashing, parasailing, camel ride, camping. You can see the falconry, and the reserve of oryx, Arabian oryx, is also in the southern part of Qatar. Arabian oryx is Qatar's national animal.
Okay.
So those two areas, Doha and the southern part of Qatar, I would say they're the top. Although Qatar also has other destinations that you want to visit and experience.
So you've answered about 3 of my questions in one go, which is great. So I was going to ask you about adventure options, and you've listed quite a few just there. The other thing I was going to ask you about, and you've touched on, though not specifically, is if someone wanted to drive around Qatar, because it is such a small country. Okay, let me backtrack here. Is Qatar a oil-based economy?
Yes.
Okay.
And also electric. They're very modern.
Okay.
So they start using electricity for their power.
Right. Yeah. So based on that, I'm assuming that the infrastructure is quite impressive, in respect to roads, conditions of roads, public transport, mm-hmm, etc. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if someone wants to drive around Qatar due to its small size, is that a possibility? Are there any specific driving rules you need to know about? Here's one I honestly don't know. Which side of the road do you drive on in the Middle East?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't know? Oh, okay. Okay. I've just got us both caught off there. I will look this up and I'll put up a little insert right now that says which side they drive on the road. Okay. But back to my original question. So driving around Qatar, because you mentioned the country is safe. So if you wanted to drive, could you do that with safety, with ease, so on and so forth? Like, does language become an issue when you get outside of Doha?
First, language. You mentioned language. Yeah. Qatar, the citizen of Qatar is only about 350,000 Qataris.
Oh,
the rest, they're foreigners. They expatriates who work in Qatar. So English is widely spoken.
Okay.
Arabic is the official language, but English is widely spoken. So you can easily go around Qatar.
Okay.
So about driving, if you have a valid U.S. driving license or Canadian driving license, you can drive in Qatar up to 7 days without having to apply for a temporary driving permit.
Okay, so anything beyond 7 days, you would have to look for a permit?
Yes.
And again, but 7 days in such a small country, you probably wouldn't need the 7 days to drive around. So one just sort of defeats the other. Okay, then. Again, back to the coastlines. You mentioned the dune bashing, the camel rides, etc. What about water sports? I'm assuming that there's amazing diving and water sports due to the coastline that the country
That's
offers.
True, Don. Yeah. Yes. Qatar is surrounded by water, makes Qatar is one of the world destination for water sports.
Yeah.
Like parasailing, surfing, water skiing, a lot of options for you to do, and adventures like diving, sailing. They have dhow boat sailing. It's a traditional Arabian sailing. They used to use it for fishing, trading, and transportation. Now they still use it for, to keep the tradition. And diving in surrounding Qatar's water, you can see the nature or the boat wrecks under the water. On the northern side of Qatar, a little bit to the east, Qatar has the largest whale shark congregation in the world.
Yes, I remember this. I spoke to another representative of Qatar probably 2 or 3 years ago, just coming out of COVID, and he mentioned this, and I was quite surprised. Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Well, they come usually between April to September. So if you come at the right time and nature permits, you'll see whale sharks, a lot of them there.
Yeah, and that's I've done a lot of traveling, and my wife has done not as much. And one thing she always holds over me is she was able to dive with a whale shark. It was in the Galapagos, sadly not in Qatar. But that's the one thing that she's done that I've not done. So it looks like I have to come to Qatar just for that, just to do some diving with the whale sharks.
Yeah.
On the sailing ships you mentioned, the dhows, would that be a day trip, or can you actually arrange like a 4 or 5 night sailing trip, maybe around the coast of Qatar?
It would be a day trip, I would say. Yeah.
Right. Okay, then. A lot of people go to the Middle East in general for shopping. So I am going to go out on a limb here and have a guess that Qatar also offers really good shopping opportunities.
So true, Don.
Yeah.
Yes, traditional and modern Qatar has both.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the traditional first.
Okay.
So they call it Souq. Souq is a market. It is a mud-up building, very authentic Arabian. When you go in there, you feel like you're transported to the past. It's beautiful and traditional and authentic. It's where the Qataris go to buy food, clothing, incense, spices, teas. And when you go there, you get to see them purchasing stuff and like haggle with the merchants in a very friendly environment. So it's an experience. Like on the other side, the modern side of shopping, they have grand shopping malls from the middle to the high end to the luxury. A lot of options like promenade, shopping malls. So yes, it is a place to shop as well.
What would be the pricing like in Qatar for the souks and the more traditional wares and fares versus the shopping mall? Like, is it like it was when I was growing up, which was a long time ago? As an Australian, you go to Hong Kong because everything was so cheap, mainly electronics. Is it the same thing for Qatar? Like, if people from North America go there, are they going to find cheaper prices for, jewelry and bags and whatnot?
The prices are range from the middle to the high end and very high end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay then. What, from a shopping point of view here, is there anything that Qatar is famous for? Like when I was in the Cook Islands, pearls. Tahiti is also pearls. If you go to Australia, Aboriginal art is quite a popular purchase thing. Is there anything that you would recommend or that Qatar is famous for from a shopping point of view?
Well, their dates are great. That's food. And then al-sadu weaving, and then bukhar is the incense. It's also very special. Okay. Their teas are great.
So on that point, you mentioned tea and dates. So most Middle Eastern countries have very rich cuisine heritage, and so from an eating point of view, if someone wants to get into traditional Qatari meals, is that an option? If someone is a bit nervous of eating different foods, like do you have North American offerings on hand, or is it a mix of everything that I've just mentioned?
Oh, they are rich with all kinds of food. Like I say, expatriates in Qatar are very, very vibrant. So beside of Qatari cuisines like the what do you call it, the haris and the makbous, you also find international cuisines from different parts of the world: French food, Japanese food, other Asian food, American, a lot of options, again, because of the expatriates community in Qatar.
Right, and I would assume with that influence of the expats and the Qatari cuisine, you had that fusion of both in quite a lot of the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, excuse me. So, on the cuisine point of view, again, going back to the cultural aspect of it, with all the expats, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that the consumption of alcohol is not an issue when you're visiting Qatar. Are there any rules or regulations around around that?
Yes, alcohol is available at the sites where they have the license. So not every restaurant offer alcohol. There are restaurants that have license, like at some restaurants, and then hotels, they have license there where you can enjoy alcoholic drinks.
Okay, so people going to Qatar, they will be able to drink if they choose to drink.
They will be able
to
choose, yeah.
You mentioned in your introduction or way back at the beginning of our conversation about the luxurious hotel options. So can you go through the different types of accommodation that someone in Qatar can look forward to? I assume there's more than just the 5-star.
Yeah, we have stopover program actually in Qatar that starts at $14 per night.
Really?
So yeah, our hotels with Discover Qatar, I have to mention, our hotels ranging from 3 stars upward, and locations are not only in Doha. We have hotels in the southern Qatar like Hilton Salwa Beach and Resort, and then they have Outpost Al Barari. On the western side, they have Habitas, and then on the northern side of Qatar, they have Zulal Wellness. So we have plenty of options of hotels from 3 to upwards hotels in different parts of Qatar.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier again, one of the biggest attractions is Doha itself, the town. People also would relate the Middle East to desert. So from an accommodation point of view, are there opportunities to camp in the desert overnight and experience that type of experience, I guess? Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, in the southern part of Qatar, there are camps for you to stay. They call it Sea Line Camp.
Okay. Now, often with accommodation, there's another style of travel, which Goway's just getting into now. We've always done a little bit of it, but now sort of investing some time and effort right into it, is wellness travel. So off the back of the great food you can eat, the shopping that's available, the very nice accommodations you can have, I would assume that wellness, spa treatments, that type of thing are also an option for someone visiting Qatar.
Yes, totally, Don. Plenty of resorts in Qatar offer wellness to help you to improve or maintain your wellness by managing your diet or support the relaxation and rejuvenation. We have this one hotel, it's called Zulal Wellness Resort in the north area of Qatar. This is the first, very unique, and this is the first in the world. It's a unique blend between the holistic wisdom of traditional Islamic Arabic medicine with modern therapies and health practices.
Okay. So just on that thing, you just mentioned Arabic and Islamic. I would assume, even though there are a lot of expats there, the main religion is still Islam within Qatar?
Within the Qataris themselves, not 100% Muslim.
Oh, really?
I can't remember the exact percentage. Yeah. They're majority Muslim, but they're not 100% Muslim.
Okay.
And then the expatriates, like over 100 nationalities.
Right. So you've got everything.
Gather in Qatar in peace and joy and harmony.
Okay. So if there's anyone who's traveling who is of faith, whatever faith that may be, and again, this doesn't come up often, but we are asked occasionally. People might be there on their day of rest, be it a Sunday or a Friday. If someone wanted to go to synagogue or go to a mosque, well, mosque would be pretty obvious, but a Christian church, would that be a possibility for someone traveling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
don't know if they have synagogue. I've never seen one.
Okay.
But yeah, you can go to your church.
Your church of choice in Qatar. Fair enough. So you got a lot of expats, obviously the locals, Qataris. I'm sure there are a lot of other people from UAE and Saudi Arabia in and out of the countries. It's all, friendly neighborhoods, so to speak. For an LGBTQ traveler, is Qatar a safe, secure place for them to travel?
Qatar welcomes everyone, Don.
Lovely.
Yeah, but I need to say that public display of affection is not a custom in Qatar. So whether you're traveling with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife, please keep the please keep the affection to minimal in public because it's not the custom.
Right. So with that statement, you mean not just gay couples, you're talking couples in general.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It applies to everyone.
Right. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Again, you're going to someone else's country. You have to adjust to customs, and I think, maybe not showing public display of affections is not a big thing to avoid. So it's an easy one, basically. I think there. Okay. So I just mentioned, you probably get Saudis coming into Qatar. Qatar is going to Saudi, to UAE, all that type of thing. So if someone is now, again, this question doesn't have to be answered with other Middle Eastern countries, but what are good suggested country combinations if you're going to go to Qatar, and where else would you recommend that people do on that one trip?
We would recommend to go to somewhere that totally different than Qatar.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Qatar and this Arabian culture, desert, combine it with other countries that's totally different, like the Maldives, or safari in Africa, like Kenya, or maybe India.
You've done this before, haven't you? You just sold me. It's actually worth pointing out too that one of the more common ways to get to the Maldives is via the Middle East, and obviously with Qatar, you could do that with their national carrier into. Okay, so on that point, let me ask you this. I'm not sure if you know the answer, but I'll ask it. If you are flying with Qatar Airways and your final destination is the Maldives, and you would naturally stop in Qatar and Doha, can you get a stopover with no additional cost, so someone can spend some time in Qatar on the way down or back from anywhere that the airline flies?
It's another beautiful day here in Qatar.
Welcome to Doha, David. Beautiful, huh?
This will go down as one of my favourite mornings. People in Qatar are very proud of their culture. The modern and traditional fuse to create something really special.
It's one of the best spice markets that I've ever been to. This is perfection for me.
Qatar really is an incredible place to spend a few days on a stopover.
I cannot wait to bring my children
There's
back.
a visa requirement to enter Qatar.
Okay.
It costs only about $27, and you can do it on the spot. Even if you didn't plan to go out of the airport, and somehow when you arrive at the airport, I want to go out. I want to see the beach. I want to see the museums and stuff. So yeah, you can go out.
Okay.
On the $27, your visa is valid for 90 days. So if you come back to Qatar on your way back home, you can go out and see Qatar again.
Right. Okay. So for those listening in, our agent partners in particular, if your clients are asking about going to the Maldives or Africa, of course, you could fly them directly from, well, not so much the Maldives, but Africa, you can go in via, obviously, Europe or into Ethiopia. But always consider flying via Qatar as well, because, again, you have the option of spending 2, 3, 4, as many days as you wish on the way there or on the way back to your African destination, your Asian destination, or particularly the Maldives. And that's a very good combination as well. Qatar, Maldives, or Maldives first, and then back and spend some time in Doha and Qatar itself. So this question is two-part. It's how long should someone commit to Qatar if they're doing just a stopover, and how long should someone commit to Qatar if they're going to use it as their one and only destination on their trip? So let's do the stopover first. How many days is a good count for a stopover?
Okay. Qatar is a versatile destination. You can have great times within 24 hours, but for stopover destination, the sweet spot is 2 to 3 nights.
Okay.
That's perfect for a stopover destination. Well, for a standalone destination, visit our website. We have this suggestion itineraries for you that range between 3 days to 7 days, depends on your client's type. Like if your clients are active millennials, or if your clients love cultures and arts, or if your clients are wealthy relaxers. So
I like that term.
Yes.
Wealthy relaxers. That's a good one. I'm going to use that one. Wealthy relaxers.
Yeah, we have answering suggestions between 3 to 7 days.
Okay. So can you name your website? What's the address, please, for your website you're referring to?
Visit Qatar. Just Google that.
Okay. Visit Qatar.
It's on the top of there. Yeah.
Okay. And you can also obviously go to Goway.com, and we also have a similar collection of best of itineraries, be it stopovers, standalone destination, or country combination. So using Qatar as a stopover to the Maldives is probably one of the most popular ones. Now, Goway has one of the largest groups departments in North America. So I would assume, like other Middle Eastern destinations, Qatar would be a good spot for groups, shopping groups, painting groups, weaving groups. You mentioned weaving as a thing to buy. Women's groups.
There's a class for the weaving as well, Don. You can go to the class and experience it yourself.
There you go. So group people out there, if you have weavers, you could send them off to Qatar and they could all learn how to weave Qatari style. But I guess on the other side of that, group travel, if anyone had a large number of people wanting to do a conference or something like that, I'm sure Qatar is set up for conferences and, the MICE, the MICE setup. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Yes. So Qatar or Doha is the main or the capital of the Middle East for events.
Oh, really?
They just held FIFA Soccer World Cup in 2022.
Yes.
And they annually held Grand Prix and Formula One.
That's one of my favorite Grand Prix.
They're very accustomed with serving large groups of people.
Okay. So again, any groups, people out there, be it sort of the more recreational style, again, just a group of people wanting to travel, sailing, weaving, etc. It's there, but also if you have conference groups as well.
Meetings.
So you mentioned from memory, because we've talked about a lot today, about southern Qatar you sort of touched on that when it came to, I think, the desert and some of the water-based activities. But even though Qatar is small, it's not just the south of Qatar. So are there other regions of Qatar that people should be aware of?
Oh, yes. Qatar is beautiful. If you go to the north coast of Qatar, they have this mangrove forest that you can go kayaking through the forest. And they have this UNESCO heritage site, a fortress. They call it Al-Zubara. And if you go to the west part of Qatar, they call it Ras Brook. There are this beautiful, unique limestone formation. And there's a monument called East-West. Mm-hmm. It is a monument that represents the economic and political environment of Qatar. In the central Qatar, it's pretty interesting. They have this camel racetrack. Oh. If you come to Qatar at the right time, you'd be able to see the camel race. Qatar holds one of the largest camel races in the Middle East.
Really?
So it's pretty interesting to see as well.
I didn't know that. Okay, that is interesting. So you mentioned also earlier the onyx, which you can see. I think that was also southern Qatar. But is there any other wildlife experiences outside of camels, of course, that you can see when in that you can experience when in Qatar? Is it like, for example? Oh, I was going to say, is it a birding destination? And I just jumped over this, so I apologize. But I guess the falconry. So that actually goes back to a question which we asked and edited out earlier. From a cultural thing, can you get more involved with the falconry, or is it something you just have to stand back and watch, or can you actually partake in any way?
Oh, yes. You can get involved. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. So you can have the falcon on your
you can
on your wrist, on your arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. A lot of people, when they think Middle East, obviously they're thinking like Jordan, Syria before the Troubles, and big famous sites, Palmyra, Aleppo, well, that's the town itself, of course.
A few moments later.
Petra. Yep, go. Petra, of course. Are there any sort of ancient ruins of the like of those in Qatar, or is it more just the desert, the coast, and the falcons and the camels?
Well, the fort in the northern part of Qatar it's a fortress.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of them. And then in Doha, the Souq is also pretty ancient.
Yeah, of course, the souks are, again, if I'm not mistaken, the souks are as you said before, are the original markets from time immemorial. So, listen. Okay, so it sounds like there's again, in such a small space, there's a lot to see and do, from waterborne, desert, modern, you've got the modern stuff, the shopping, resorts, hotels, $14 a night accommodation. Don't get that many places in the world.
Yeah, that's a deal.
Yeah, that is a deal. It's a great gateway to the Middle East itself. It's a great gateway to other countries around the world. So is there anything exciting coming up for Qatar in the future, in the near future, be it other events? You've already touched on, you had World Cup. There's a Qatar Formula One every year, which is near the end of the season. So I think around October-ish is my
November.
November, there you go, November. Is there anything else on the horizon, any new hotels or anything you'd like to let our listening public know about?
New hotel. We have a hotel that's just opened last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Fairmont Raffles.
Ooh.
The unique thing about this hotel is its shape. It's like a horn like that.
Oh, okay.
And then events coming, a lot of events happening in Qatar, from the sport events like the table tennis, beach sport festival, gymnastic World Cup. And in the art and music, they often hold classical music concerts and pop concerts. Ed Sheeran is performing at the end of this month. Michael Bublé is performing next month.
There you go, for the Canadians out there, yeah.
Go to our website.
Okay.
Qatar events. Click that, and you'll see the events coming.
Okay, yeah, and that's I know this for a fact that Qatar, probably out of most Middle Eastern countries, seems to be a draw card for these big events. So there's, as you just said, there's always something happening. Are there any annual festivals, be it religious based or otherwise, that people should be aware of when they go to Qatar?
Yes, they have Ramadan that just finished, and then Eid al-Fitr season for the whole month this month. They have hot air balloon season as well.
A season for it. Okay, that's
I can't remember which month.
Okay, that's a first. Actually, having a season.
They have it as well.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for your time. We speak about.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, a pleasure. We speak about Qatar quite a lot because, one, you're a very active tourist board, or very active representative of the tourist board, because there's so much to see and do in Qatar, and I never get bored speaking about it because, again, it is a small country, but as I already said, there's a lot to see and do in there. It's always changing. There are always new things on the horizon, literal and also metaphorical. So for those out there, I highly recommend that when you're looking for a Middle Eastern destination, put Qatar at the top of your list. And if your clients are asking you about, the sort of, something in Africa, East or Southern, or particularly the Maldives, again, which I've said a few times is a very popular destination, or Asia for that matter, look at Qatar Airlines and in turn a stopover or even a longer stay in Qatar, because I think, as Haryanti said earlier, like you'll get 2 trips for one, and it's such an easy stopover, $27 for the visa, which you can apply online, when you arrive, but you obviously want to have your airfare booked properly beforehand. So it's easy, it's welcoming, it's modern, it's ancient, it's luxurious, it's adventurous, it's roughy-tufty if you want it to be. You get to see camels too. You even get to see camels racing if you're there at the right time. So Haryanti, just before we say goodbye, is there anything else you'd like to pass on to our travel partners out there?
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. We have Qatar Specialist Program. If you want to know more about Qatar, visit our specialist program. Just Google Qatar Specialist Program. And if you complete the program, you will be considered to join our fam trip.
Well, there you go, a fam trip for that. And on that note, a bit of a shameless plug for the Goway Pro Travel Academy. We have a very good module on Qatar. So if you did ours and then you did the Qatari one as well, you get a good overview, because ours is more about the practicalities of visiting the country. It's things we discussed today, where it is, how to get there, all that type of thing. Whereas the Qatari one will be a bit more specific about current product, hotels, etc. So if you do both, not only can you qualify for a FAM with the Qatari Tourism Board, you'll have that complete knowledge of the country of Qatar, which, as I've mentioned, is a literally jewel sitting on the top of the crown of the Middle East. So on that note, Haryanti, I'd like to thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Fantastic, Don. Thanks so much.
Our pleasure. And everyone out there, as always, thank you for listening in. We do appreciate your time as well. And we hope you learned something today, and we will talk to you soon.
See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.